I'm gonna try Jollibee for the very first time ever. Just kidding. In this video, I'm gonna walk through a Webflow site that I created for Brooks Media. Let's go. In this video, I'm gonna go back in time when I was just a beginner Webflow developer, maybe my first or second year in freelancing. And in this website that I'm gonna review is a website I created for Brooks Media. This is the website that I developed, but keep in mind, they actually changed their website recently to something more like this. So it's more minimalistic and less crazy animations and just more like a traditional website. And not only that, but this is built through Squarespace. So I guess Squarespace is very easy to use compared to Webflow at the time of recording this video. And the guy that I worked with is just, he's so ambitious. This guy is crazy. He's probably he's killing it right now. So check out Brooks Media. I recommend their service. And that's what I did. I created a website for them. And this was the website that I've done. Originally, it was actually built by someone else. I had to just go in and just make minor changes. But he had crazy vision. The guy that hired me, I think his name was Francis. He was very creative. Like, you can just tell because he makes video content for premium houses. And the ideas that he had for the website was just, it blew my mind. In fact, the website that I originally built upon had already had all these crazy animations. But as you can see right now, we have this video on the right hand side, and just one super unique, which I've never seen before, really. I don't even know if it's a good idea for SEO, etc. But it's that bizarre, is that the nav bar is actually at the bottom of the screen, like this right here. And it just moves across in a endless marquee format. So we have like get in touch, content, pricing, about, get in touch. I mean, we can sit here and be like, this is a bad idea because of SEO and, the users aren't used to seeing this. But to me, as a designer, especially back then, I was really into design. I'm like, wow, this is so creative. Like, I personally like it, it reminds me of like Rotten Tomatoes. When you watch a movie, there's like an audience score and then there's like a critic score. In this sense, maybe the critic score isn't that high because the nav bar really should be at the top and it's inconsistent. But as an audience, I'm like, whoa, this is unique. And you can tell he used certain font to make it luxury and stuff. But you can tell it's really, really premium. And if I scroll down, we had this text right here where it actually increased in numbers. So this was using a count up JS animation, if I remember correct. And then below this is just another video right here, which is just placeholder content. And then here is like a button, which at the time was like GoPro. Their website had this like effect right here. And if I remember correctly, this guy that hired me, who I believe is the owner of this company, he was only like 20 years old at the time or something. So he was like very ambitious. Like, he's probably killing it right now, but it's crazy to go back on. Then scrolling down, we have this section where it talks about vertical content. This is a bit awkward because this is just a placeholder video. I just have this because I archived this website in my Webflow project. Again, I can't actually restore the original project, but this isn't actually 100% correct. It doesn't bring justice to what actually was the final product, but it gives you a good idea. So in this case, this had a video of like a vertical video of like this, for example, like showcase of like buildings and stuff or interior. And then as you scroll down, you can see this phone then flips around and then goes down like this. And then once it hits the bottom, it actually plays a separate video. As you can see right here, it's actually playing a separate video. And that separate video is then landscape content. So it went from like vertical content to landscape content. So this was two separate videos, and I had to figure out how to code this. Maybe I'll make a tutorial on this, but this is really cool. Like, I thought this was amazing. You know what I mean? Like, you look at his current site right now. I'm not saying that, it's bad or anything. It's just that there is no crazy effects anymore. It's just a background video, text, everything's just very it's just there. It's very simple. And sometimes simple is good. Simple works. But in terms of design and in terms of like flair, this just had so much creativity involved. So that's what that was. Then below this, we had another video about drone shots. Then we had like some social proof. Then we have this section here, which is a testimonial using slider. So back then I didn't know how to use Swiper.js. So I would have just built this in Swiper.js, and you can actually put more animations in Swiper.js. Then below this is just clients, and then Instagram. So we had an Instagram plugin right here using Elfsight, and that's the home page. Let's just take a look at the other pages, like about. And that's when you notice that like the navbar was a bit inconsistent in that specific case, where now it's at the top. But this is about just step 1, step 2, step 3, followed by text. So at the time he was 21 years old. Crazy, and he already achieved so much. And then it just shows his service area. That's the about page. Then we have content right here, which just had this really nice effect that he wanted, where the text just moves in a marquee format. Again, this is not done like seamlessly. This is just a staging website. And then right here you can see we have a video right here. And as I scroll down, that video sticks to the next section like so. And I believed at the time I was coding this website in EMs, ephemeral units, based on viewport width. So really everything was built using viewport width, which I don't do anymore. I rather just I rather code everything using rems. But if I remember correctly, I was using EMs, ephemeral units. And then below this, just another video content. This section right here, he had this like unique idea of changing it from a vertical video, and if you hit cinematic, it then just tilts that video. You see how it does this? And I thought that was really cool. And he had like so many ideas, this 21-year-old kid. And at the time, I was very interested in development. So I'm like, this was all new to me, to be very honest, of how to code this. And it took me a very, very long time to figure this out. And it's not just figuring this out. The problem with Webflow development or website development is, yes, I did this. This is done, you can see. But how does this work on mobile? That was the most difficult part, because you have to make everything responsive in mobile. And I believe the people who have all these crazy ideas for the website, they don't think about mobile. And even if they do think about mobile, they don't think about the code that has to be written in mobile or the functionalities required in mobile. So for example, he might have wanted some links on the left-hand side, which I believe in the final site, there was some links right here. But where does that go on mobile? And sometimes he wanted the orders of things like differently. So for example, we have this section here as order number 1. This is order number 2. And these buttons are order number 3. But maybe, for example, on mobile, these buttons are now order number 1. This FPS drone is number 2. And this is number 3. Like, how do you do that? Like with Flexbox, with Grid, do you duplicate the content and then just rearrange it and then use hide and show? It was a lot of that point where it gets a bit, it gets a bit like unnecessary. But if you really want that specific style, that's how you do it. There's no way around it really. Then we have pricing, which looks like this. And then we just have different bundles like so. And even this, for example, most popular, this is a absolute positioning to be the top right, if I remember correct. Then we have build your own package. Then we have El Carte. So yeah, this was the pricing page. Then we have the about page, which I already showed you. Then we have the bookings page right here. And if I remember this correctly, the person that coded the website before had he put like this custom JavaScript, which nowadays I know how to do, especially with ChatGPT. But at the time, I didn't understand it, because if you just hit this as general inquiry, it hides the bottom 2 fields. But if you put it as book a shoot, it then shows these 2 fields right here. And then forms get very, very tricky, because if property size and property address become like mandatory fields, it gets really hard to change the variable. So right now in general inquiry, these 2 fields right here is still there, but it's just hidden, right? But if it was mandatory, it won't let you hit submit unless you fill in the mandatory field. So that's where it got tricky, but the person that did it before already coded the website, so there we go. And now let's just take a look at mobile, because this is, let me take a look at mobile, because this is definitely worth a discussion. I'm just going to move this to iPhone Pro, and I'm just going to go through the home page. So you can see everything just wraps. Even this nav bar right here is like, how did I do that? How did I make it from here to there? You know what I mean? Like, was it a duplicated nav bar, etc.? These are the things you need to factor in. But I think it looks fantastic on mobile. Again, I really like this. This has so much like design creativity. Maybe people would criticize saying that there's too much movement going on. And just keep in mind, this video might not have been the final video. So it's very fast paced, right? But maybe it was a very slow pace. But then again, people will critique saying, oh, there's too much movement going on, So like, you can't win them all, but I thought it was really cool. Then we have the numbers that are stacked. How does it work? Vertical content, and this is the part where I had to figure out how to code this one right here to still work on mobile, which I did. And just keep in mind, mobile you don't have that much space in mobile, so you gotta even factor in the fact, does this animation even make sense to even have on mobile? I guess it did in this sense, but we could have just hit this animation on mobile and just put something else, but nevertheless I coded it. And then below this we have the drone content as seen on. Then we have the testimonials right here. Then we have clients and Instagram. And then if we just go to a different page like about, you can see now we have a hamburger on the right hand side. If I just click on that, it puts the drop downs. I believe this wasn't the final menu that I've coded. I just lost the project file. It actually went full screen, and the Brooks Media, like the color actually changed to a different color, but I couldn't find that, guys. But that's the about page. Then we have content right here. Oh, can't even click on that. So let me just click on this. And that's what it looks like. Then we have this, and we have this, and we have this. And then this is the part where there wasn't even a button to switch between the vertical and horizontal. Maybe I did code this in, and this was just the old version of the website, but I'm pretty sure I did code it in. But yeah, that's what I had to figure out. And that's it. Wow, I can see there's some error here, right here. You can see that text is on top of the nav bar. But that's something I just want to show you guys. Again, I did this when I was in the beginning stages of freelance. The guy, Brooks, he was only 21 years old. I'm sure he's killing it. And he was very creative. And it just goes to show how much, like, he inspired me. I'm just going to say, he inspired me. And we jumped on several calls just to make sure all the small detail were correct, which just goes to show he really cares about, what he does. And I have no doubt that, with his attention to detail in website, which he doesn't even specialize in, he specializes in video content. Like, this kid is an inspiration, and I hope he's doing very well. But thanks again for watching this video. Again, this is an old showcase, and I hope you guys found it useful. I'd love to know your thoughts on this website. And if you enjoyed it, please give me a like and subscribe for more content. I'll see you in the next video.